Tonight, American businesses and consumers left in limbo as President Trump threatens another major increase in tariffs. The soaring egg prices prompting a reported Justice Department investigation, and breaking news: a state of emergency on Long Island because of a large brush fire. First, the on-again, off-again tariffs. U.S. companies now bracing for the worst, with President Trump threatening up to 250% tariffs on Canadian lumber and dairy. The president insisting Canada has been ripping us off for years. Why these new tariffs could send shockwaves through the housing market. Plus, we're hearing the Justice Department wants to find out if the largest egg producers conspired to hike prices. The industry now answering back. And the new spending plan rolled out by House Speaker Mike Johnson to avert a government shutdown just days from now. Also tonight, the horrific images: Russian missiles raining down on Ukraine, adults desperately trying to protect children from the onslaught. Vladimir Putin hoping to take advantage after the U.S. suspended military aid and intelligence to Ukraine. But could talks soon resume on a possible minerals deal between the Trump administration and the Ukrainian government? Here at home, a 14-year-old is charged with murdering a New Jersey police officer. Police say that officer was shot before he could get out of his squad car. A second officer also wounded in the wild shootout. A rising NFL star facing felony charges. Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Xavier Worthy accused in what's being called a case of domestic assault. The arson investigation underway in Miami after multiple yachts go up in flames. A standoff at the London landmark Big Ben. A man carrying a Palestinian flag climbed the tower, the standoff lasting hours. The eagle's nest is getting crowded. Mom and dad are now caring for triplets after another eaglet hatched overnight. And America Strong, the inspirational love story and surprise proposal captured on camera.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us on this Saturday. I'm Whit Johnson. We begin tonight with breaking news. Several wildfires raging across New York's Long Island. Gusty winds fueling the flames. Just moments ago, the governor declaring a state of emergency. At least one firefighter injured, and at least two commercial structures have been damaged. Multiple roads and the main highway in the Hamptons closed due to the flames. Let's get right to ABC's Phil Lipof. And Phil, what's the latest on where these fires are spreading?
Well, Whit, as you point out, just moments ago, New York Governor Kathy Hochul issuing that state of emergency because multiple wildfires are burning now along the Sunrise Highway, which is in Suffolk County on Long Island, as you pointed out. The highway is now closed in both directions. Two structures so far, commercial structures, have been damaged. At least one firefighter injured, we're told, suffering burns to their face. Residents in towns now on alert, smoke filling the air over highways. The New York National Guard already on alert and assisting by helicopter. All of this coming after the National Weather Service put out an alert for elevated risk of fire spread across the region. Powerful gusts up to 35 miles an hour and low humidity across Long Island, the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast coast today. Town of Southampton is actually asking residents to refrain from any outdoor recreational fires over the next 24 hours. So again, that state of emergency here in New York, wildfires burning out on Long Island. Whit?
Yeah, those winds having a big impact. Phil Lipof for us. Thank you. We turn now to the looming tariffs rattling the economy and consumers as President Trump threatens Canada with steep reciprocal tariffs on lumber and dairy products up to 250%, which could come as soon as next week. Economists predicting that higher lumber tariffs could unleash pain across the U.S. and would add up to $10,000 to the cost of building a new single-family home. And the threat of tariffs on goods from Mexico and Canada have consumers worried about yet another spike in food inflation when they're already shelling out more for groceries. And Wall Street responding too with one of its worst weeks in 6 months. Here's ABC's senior White House correspondent Selina Wang in Washington.
Tonight, American businesses bracing for President Trump's latest tariff threat. Trump vowing new tariffs on Canadian lumber and dairy products in response to the up to 250% tax Canada puts on American dairy and lumber to protect its own industries.
They make it impossible for us to sell lumber or dairy products into Canada.
Economists and builders warn higher tariffs on lumber could cause pain here in the U.S. Dennis owns this lumber yard in Maryland. Tariffs on Canadian lumber, would that harm your business?
It's going to hurt my sales in the long run.
The National Association of Home Builders says even a 25% tariff on Canadian lumber would increase the cost of building a new single-family home by up to $10,000. President Trump says that foreign countries pay the price of tariffs.
My customers are going to pay for it. So it's going to be passed on.
The new warnings from Trump cap off a head-spinning week in Washington. On Tuesday, Trump imposed 25% tariffs on Mexican and Canadian imports. On Wednesday, a one-month exemption for American car makers. Then one day later, another one-month delay for tariffs on most goods from Mexico and Canada. The confusion and chaos tanking the stock market in one of its worst weeks in 6 months. The president saying the uncertainty is here to stay.
There'll always be changes and adjustments. There'll always be some modifications. I mean, if you have a wall in front of you, sometimes you have to go around the wall instead of through it.
What DOGE is really trying to do.
Outside of Washington, Republicans also feeling the heat, voters slamming Trump and Elon Musk's efforts to downsize the federal government.
And I'd love for you to stand up to DOGE and Elon Musk and speak out against any more cuts.
Elon Musk is not hiring or firing anybody. That is left up to the department heads.
In a tense White House meeting, the billionaire clashing with members of the cabinet over cuts. Trump downplaying the dispute, saying the administration will be more targeted going forward.
And Selina Wang joins us now from the White House. Selina, you're also learning new details about the Republican plan to avert a government shutdown.
That's right, Whit. House Speaker Mike Johnson has unveiled a spending bill that would keep the government funded through September. It boosts resources for immigration enforcement and defense while cutting some other programs here at home. But actually getting that bill passed will be a major challenge. Democrats are against it. They argue that it empowers Elon Musk in his efforts to aggressively slash federal spending. Whit?
A lot of moving parts in Washington. Selina, thank you. And tune into This Week tomorrow morning. Jonathan Karl speaks with top White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett about the economic fallout from President Trump's shifting tariff decisions. We go overseas now, and Russia launching a new wave of deadly aerial assaults against Ukraine. More than 20 people killed during the attacks. Dozens of people have been injured, including children, and several buildings damaged and destroyed. The latest violence follows the U.S. decision to withhold intelligence and military aid to Ukraine. ABC's Perry Russum reports from Washington.
Tonight, another wave of Russian airstrikes across multiple Ukrainian towns. At least 20 people killed, dozens hurt, children among the injured. In the Donetsk region in eastern Ukraine, several apartment buildings hit. In Odessa, buildings left in a fiery rubble, windows blown out another. This man says adults covered children like the shell of a turtle. The attacks come after the Trump administration froze military aid to Ukraine and hours after the U.S. cut off their access to commercial satellite imagery.
When it comes to the intelligence pause, that has an immediate effect. And Russia took advantage of it by launching a substantial aerial bombardment.
European leaders vowing to increase their defense budgets and provide assistance to Ukraine. Trump yesterday before the latest attacks.
President Putin is bombing Ukraine.
Yeah.
Do you still believe him when he tells you that he wants peace?
Yeah, no, I believe him. I believe him. I think we're doing very well with Russia. But right now they're bombing the hell out of Ukraine. And Ukraine, I'm finding it more difficult, frankly, to deal with Ukraine.
The Russian attacks come ahead of a crucial meeting between U.S. and Ukrainian officials on Tuesday in Saudi Arabia. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says there were many calls with the Trump administration yesterday, saying intensive work is ongoing.
Do you, Mr. President, think that Vladimir Putin is taking advantage of the U.S. pause right now on intelligence and military aid to Ukraine?
No, I actually think he's doing what anybody else would do. I think he